What is the mind? What is the nature of reality? Is consciousness fundamental, or is it just a byproduct of physical brain activity? The philosophy of Dualism posits that consciousness is fundamental to reality, and that everything emerges from it. In fact, if idealism is true, then consciousness as its own ontology is all that exists. Keep in mind, idealism doesn't say that it's only your mind that exists. Rather, the mental as its own category is all that exists. The version of idealism I will be arguing in the series, which is objective idealism, says that the universe exists in universal consciousness, and us and other living organisms are dissociated alters of this universal consciousness. The universe would also be what's called the extrinsic appearance of universal consciousness. In fact, if idealism is true, then we all kind of share the same dream, and this dream is being dreamed up by this universal consciousness. So the physical objects we see around us are the mental objects of universal consciousness, in the same way that when we dream at night, the things in our dreams or the objects in our dreams are the objects of our subconscious. In our reality, we are dissociated alters of this universal consciousness, and we are kind of like the dream characters that are participating in this universal consciousness. Idealism is different than both physicalism and dualism, since it doesn't say that anything is outside of consciousness. Physicalism posits that consciousness is a byproduct of brain activity, and what is fundamental to reality isn't consciousness, but rather physical primitives that exist outside and independent of consciousness. Dualism moves slightly away from this, claiming that consciousness is fundamental, but that there is still a reality beyond consciousness. Under idealism, however, consciousness is the sole ontological primitive, and therefore nothing exists apart from consciousness. Everything exists within universal consciousness under idealism. We will have a whole video responding to the most common objections to idealism, but idealism as a metaphysical theory should be on the table as a viable option. Objective idealism does accept the existence of an objective external reality beyond our minds, but that the objective reality is itself universal consciousness. Again, we need to remember that while the world is objective, that doesn't mean the world is not in some sort of universal consciousness. So once we properly understand the position of idealism, then we cannot simply dismiss idealism before the debate has even begun. Furthermore, just because an idea is weird, that doesn't make it false. One should always be agnostic first and let the evidence lead them to their truth, and not presuppose a particular viewpoint and force reality to fit that viewpoint. It is my hope that this series will give the cumulative case for the idealism metaphysics.